Good evening, yogis. My name is Daniel. This is Daniel Lee Yoga. Thank you for joining me for practice today. It's Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern. I think it's the 29th. We're almost to the end of July here. I just want to thank you all for joining me for class today. We have a level 1 focused Vinyasa class for 60 minutes. And the focus this week has been on balance, balancing poses, balancing structures, removing one or two limbs, or perhaps three limbs out of the equation, and trying to see how our body reacts in compensating and shifting our weight, shifting our focus, and seeing how we do. So we had fundamentals earlier this week, and we'll be building off of that, ramping up things a little bit more. So we'll still take time to break down poses, but we will start to move into a couple more advanced poses as we move on. As far as props for what you'll need today, a couple blocks can help in a couple of our balancing poses. So if you have a couple blocks, keep them nearby. Like I said in the chat, if you don't have blocks, if you have books that are around the same size, or boxes, like a box from where you'd order something online or something like that, if it's small enough, that could work for you too. But don't worry if you don't have any props, you can still definitely get through this class um, without an issue. Still going to be a nice, well-rounded class. In our balancing focus classes this week, we've been working on the external rotation of the hip in the hip sockets. Additionally, firming the outer hip in. That's really what gives us stability, especially when we are only on one leg and we're balancing there. Warming up the core stability that really keeps our front or our top half and our bottom half of our body together and in sync, and just generally warming up the body so that we're good to go for when we get into more of our stretchy poses. So again, thank you for joining me. We'll go ahead and get started in a nice, comfortable seat. So you can join me here with your legs crossed, ankles underneath the knees, rooting your sit bones down, rising up through the crown of your head. If you ever have any issues just sitting up straight, you can always place something underneath your sit bones. You can roll up your mats. If you have your blocks with you, you can place those underneath you. Or if you have a towel or a blanket, anything that helps give you elevation will keep your spine nice and long and make you a little more comfortable sitting up straight. So in your nice comfortable seat, just place your hands on tops of your knees, palms face down. And try to soften those shoulders down. And as we begin class, we just start to deepen our breathing. Beginning with a very gentle pranayama, equal parts inhale and exhale breathing technique here. So you have the option to keep your eyes open. Your eyes can soften or your gaze can close completely. And the last invitation is to breathe through your nose. So by breathing through the nose, that kind of restricts the amount of air that can flow at one time and can help to reduce your heart rate as we breathe through. So I'll be counting up and counting down. You can follow along with me. So get nice and settled. Let's all take a nice deep inhale in together. Through the mouth, exhale. And let's begin. So we'll inhale through the nose. 3, 2, 1. Exhale through the nose. 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold the breath in. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold the breath out. Once more, inhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold the breath in. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And hold the breath out. And now return to normal breathing. If your eyes were closed, you can begin to softly blink your eyes open. And just take a moment to bring your awareness back to where you are now. Okay, from here, beginning to warm up the hips. So release the hands behind you. Fingertips can either face forward or back, using your arms as stability here. We'll open up the legs, bring the heels to the mat, the knees wide, keeping the knees bent. Have the feet nice and flexed. Roll the shoulders up and back. And begin to internally and externally rotate at this hip socket, moving the legs all as one piece. So to internally rotate, we bring the knees in together. And exhale, rotate out. So add that to our inhales as we roll in towards each other. Exhale as you roll out. So keep moving on your breath. If when you inhale and internally rotate, those knees touch, just separate your feet out a little bit wider. Keep moving. Maybe as you externally rotate, the outsides of your feet or your knees may touch the mat. Maybe they don't. Mine certainly do not. But the idea here is we're just starting to lubricate those hip sockets, getting them ready for the rest of class. Let's do 3 more each way. So exhale as we open. Inhale as we close. Exhale as we externally rotate. Inhale as we internally rotate. Just one more time here. And bringing that back into center. Going back to neutral, pressing yourself back up. Let's recross the legs and come back into tabletop, or come into tabletop. So your arms can either come forward or you can send your legs off to the side. Whatever way works for you to come into your tabletop position. In your tabletop, your wrists are below your shoulders, knees are below your hips, tops of the feet to the mat. So hands are a little bit wider than your knees. If you take a peek back, you should see your feet generally hidden behind those thighs. Now bring your gaze back up towards the top of your mat, slight tuck of the chin. Nice neutral spine here. Hugging that navel in and up to create a nice long spine, but you still have the capacity to breathe here. Just take one more nice deep breath here with your fingers nice and spread, pressing down to the base of each finger and each palm. And exhale. Let's move into our cow cats. So we'll inhale as we drop the navel, send the heart forward, look up. Cow. Exhale, reverse that, rounding the back, tailbone tucks, shoulders separate, head hangs heavy in your cat. Reversing, inhale, drop the navel, tailbone lifts, heart forward, look up. Exhale, round the back, really press down, separate those shoulder blades, head hangs heavy. Let's do 3 more times each way, on your breath. Exhaling through your cat. 2 more times. One last time on your breath. And then meet me in a nice neutral spine back in your tabletop. So getting right into our balancing poses here. Begin by extending the right arm forward and extend the left leg back. So we'll flex the left foot, bring that left foot up to hip height if you can. If this is a little too much for you, you can keep those toes on the mat. Otherwise, thigh is up at hip height. Now notice if your shoulders or your hips are adjusting, we want to try and keep them neutral just like in our tabletop. So keep pressing back through that left heel and extending out through the fingertips. Pinky down, thumb up on that right hand. Staying for one more breath. Exhale, gently release, right arm down, left knee down. We'll switch to the other side. So this time extend the right arm forward. Left arm forward, right leg back. Flexing the right toes so that the knee and the toes face down towards the mat. With that left hand extended, pinky down, thumb up. Again, if this is too much, just release your right toes back down to the mat. Still the same actions here. Drawing the tailbone down. Slight tuck of the chin, the gaze is still up towards the top of the mat. Again, notice how your pelvis and your shoulders might situate themselves here. Staying for one more breath. And exhale, gently release. Coming back down to your nice neutral tabletop. So we have the option to repeat that pose. Otherwise, we'll add a little bit of a crunch to it, kind of mixing in our cow-cat. So starting on that first side, extending the left leg back, the arm forward. So again, you can stay here if you'd like, or add a couple crunches. So we'll inhale as we drop our navel, add a slight back bend like our cow pose. And then exhale as we round, bring the elbow to the knee, round that back. We'll inhale as we extend the arm and the leg away, flexing that foot. Exhale, round into your cat, elbow to knee. Two more times. Inhale, extend. And exhale, round, elbow to knee. One more time. Inhale, extend. And exhale, round. Now gently release back into your tabletop, and we'll switch to the other side here. So again, left arm forward, pinky down, thumb up, extending the right leg back. You can stay here if you'd like, or if you're coming with me. We'll inhale as we arch our back into our cow pose, and exhale, round into cat, elbow to knee. Inhale, extend. Exhale, round. Hi, Coney. Inhale, extend. Exhale, round. Yes, rounding just like in our cat pose. Inhale, extend one last time. Exhale, round, elbow to knee. And just release back down into your tabletop. Staying here just for a breath. And now we'll press our hips back to our heels. Come back into your child's pose. Make it your child's pose if you want your knees together, your knees wide. Your option. Just keep the tops of your feet to the mat, releasing the forehead down either to the mat or to a block. Just keep deepening your breathing here. And just knowing that child's pose is always an option anytime in your practice. If you need to catch a couple breaths, if you just need to reground yourself, regroup, child's pose is a great option for that. Try to soften your shoulders, just let them fall down towards the mat here. Staying for two more deep breaths. One more breath here. Now just begin to lift your hips up, lift your head up, and then walk your hands back to your knees. Bring your knees back into hips width distance or your knees touching. And see if you're comfortable sitting your hips back on your heels with with the tops of the feet to the mat. So try this, see how this feels for you. If this doesn't work, you can always try to curl the toes under. See how that feels for you. And if neither of those options work, just come back into a cross-legged seat. We'll be here for a minute as we kind of work out our wrists. So whatever seat that you prefer. So I'm going to go tops of the feet to the mat. So just working out our wrists a little bit. Let's bring clasp the fingers together. Bring the bottoms of the wrists to touch and elbows to touch. And just gently start to roll your wrists out. Start in one direction. Moving in like a figure 8 here. Or an infinity symbol. This is always where my wrists start to make some noises here. Good noises, I'm hoping. Okay, begin to slow and let's move in the opposite direction. Just giving our wrists some love and attention. We'll definitely be using them in practice today. And begin to slow, separate your fingers. Your elbows can separate now. Bring the backs of your wrists to touch, backs of your hands, and we'll start to roll here. So start to roll in one direction, trying to keep the base of your wrists touching the entire time. That's the challenge here. Begin to slow in this first direction, and then reversing, going in the opposite direction. Couple more times here. And let's come back to stillness. You can shake your arms out a little bit. Now we'll come back into our tabletop just for a moment, and we'll transition into our down dog. So we'll curl the toes under with the knees underneath the hips. Lift the knees off the ground. Begin to lift your hips up in the air. Press your hips up and back, and lift into your down dog. This is our first down dog of the day, so let's take our dog for a walk. You can pedal out your feet, lift one heel, lift the other. Keep moving. If down dog's a little too much for you right now, just come back down to your knees. And in your tabletop, you can still work out your legs here. Just do what you feel like your body needs right now. Still warming yourself up. Take a couple more deep breaths, moving around. Move as you need. One more breath here. And let's come back to stillness with your feet hips width distance, heels behind the center toes. Let's inhale as you gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walker step to the top of the mat. Feet are hips width distance. Stay in your forward fold. Knees can be bent. Let's grab opposite elbows. Come into your ragdoll pose. Let your chin slightly tuck. Your gaze is in between both shins, looking back behind you. Really letting the head be heavy here, softening the shoulders away from the ears. To really be a nice hamstring stretch, maybe you can loosen up your low back by swaying from side to side if you'd like, or you can just stay right in the middle. Let's switch the class of our elbows, whichever's on top, switch it to the bottom. Keep rocking from side to side if you'd like, otherwise stay right in the middle. One more breath here. Let's release those arms down, let the head hang heavy. We'll come up to standing, but nice and slow. So press your feet into the mat, and on your inhale, start to lift up one vertebrae at a time. Head and the arms are the last thing to arrive. Take your time coming up. And once you've arrived up to standing, let's roll those shoulders up and back a couple times. And then opposite direction, roll the shoulders back and up. All right, coming back to the top of your mat if you're not already there. Feet are nice and hips width distance. If you ever need to measure, bring two fists together. You can place them either in between your knees or your feet. Always a nice little reminder. Arms down to the sides, palms face forward to slightly externally rotate those shoulders. Try and soften this tailbone down, drawing these frontal hip points up. Chin is parallel with the mat. Stay for one more breath here. And exhale. Now let's inhale as we raise the arms up overhead, palms face each other. Staying here for a breath as you turn the pinkies in towards each other so the palms face each other. Soften those shoulders away from the ears. Exhale now as you hinge forward, knees can bend. Let the arms and the head hang down in your forward fold. Fingertips or palms can be on the mat, or they can be on your shins or your thighs, wherever you are. Now coming up to halfway lift as we place our hands to the tops of our shins. Now we lift up so our spine is halfway up, parallel with the mat. Maybe you start to straighten those legs. And we'll exhale, rebend into our forward fold. Knees can bend.
From your forward fold, we'll come back up to standing. So press your feet into the mat and inhale as you raise the arms out and up overhead. Lift up, arms overhead. Keep them up for a breath here as you gaze up towards those fingertips, softening the shoulders down, releasing the tailbone down. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. All right, let's repeat that, bringing it up to one breath, one movement. Inhale, raise the arms up overhead, gaze looks up. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold, knees can bend. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back, extending through all sides of the torso. And exhale, rebend those knees, forward fold. Press down through the feet. Inhale as you lift the arms out and up overhead, gaze is up. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. Now we'll build off that. So we'll inhale as we raise the arms up overhead, gaze is up. Exhale, hinge forward, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. This time, plant your palms on your mat. If they don't quite reach, you can use your blocks underneath your palms. You can bend your knees as much as you need to. Now we'll step both feet back. So step the right foot back, left foot back. Drop your knees to the mat. Shift your torso forward, bend the elbows back, and lower all the way to the mat, all at one piece. Once you arrive at the ground, place the tops of the feet to the mat. Press your feet down, hips down, and on your inhale, lift your head up, chest up into your baby cobra. Draw the back of the shoulder blades towards each other and down your back. Elbows draw in, ankles draw in. Tailbone releases. One more breath here. And exhale, gently release. Let's curl those toes back under. Press yourself up through a modified plank pose with the knees down. And then we'll lift our hips up and back into our down dog. So next time we transition that way, you can come straight through down dog, or if you want to come through with your knees down plank pose, you can use that transition to help. Just stay for one more breath here in your down dog. Keep pressing your chest back towards your thighs. And now we'll inhale as we gaze forward. Bend the knees. Exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Now stay in your forward fold. Make sure your feet are hips width distance. If you have your block, it might be handy here. You may not need it. But what we'll do is release the left hand to the inside edge of both feet. So right in between both feet. Fingers are facing forward. If your palm doesn't quite reach, you can place a block underneath and use that. So with your hand down and your knees slightly bent, we'll add a slight twist here. So we'll turn from the navel up as we lift our right arm up to the sky. From here, turn that pinky side edge forward so the palm faces forward. Maybe your gaze looks up to look at those fingertips. Keep trying to send the hips back, especially that left hip, but hug the knees in towards each other. Staying for one more breath. And exhale, gently release. Stay in your forward fold. We'll move to the other side. So now we'll release the right arm to the inside of both feet. Knees can bend. Just have that tricep to the inside edge of that right knee. Press down through your feet. And on your inhale, twist from the navel up. Look up. Left arm rises to the sky. Turning the pinky side edge towards the front of your mat. Staying for two more breaths here. Hugging the knees in towards each other. Drawing that right hip back. One more breath. And exhale, gently release back into your forward fold. Let's inhale, lift up halfway, hands to the shins, nice flat back. Let's stay here for another half breath. Maybe start to extend those legs, slight tuck of the chin. Exhale, rebend the knees, forward fold. Coming back up to standing, press your feet into the mat. Inhale as you lift the arms out and up overhead. And exhale, hands down through center and down to the sides. All right, we're starting to get a little warmed up here. Let's revisit our Warrior Two pose, which is kind of the blueprint for our practice today. So start in a wide-legged stance, facing the long edge side of your mat. Start with your heels directly behind those center toes. Just like in our hips width distance, our legs are just wider now. Place your hands at your hips. It's always good to revisit how we get into our warrior poses here. So we'll start with the left leg. So externally rotate that left leg so the left toes face forward. Internally rotate the right leg so the toes just come in just slightly. Make sure you have a heel to arch alignment from that front heel to your back arch. Bend that left knee so it tracks over that left ankle. Square the shoulders with the long edge side of your mat. And extend the arms out, palms face down. Warrior two pose here. You can turn your neck to look over those left fingertips. Maybe you deepen into your pose. If you notice that your knee is coming forward a little bit, you can walk the left toes a little bit farther forward. But try to lengthen through all sides of your torso, softening the shoulders away from the ears. Let's stay here for 2 more breaths. Keep pressing down through that left heel, pressing back through the outer edge of that right foot. 1 more breath here. Yes, hi, Coney. And exhale. Let's release the arms back down to the hips. Straighten that leg and turn both toes to face forward towards the long edge side of your mat, right where we started. So we'll switch to the other side. Just start with your feet nice and parallel. Now we'll take this right leg and externally rotate it so those right toes face the back of your mat now. Slightly internally rotate those left toes. Make sure you have that heel to arch alignment. Bend that right knee over that right ankle. Square the shoulders with the long edge side of your mat. And extend arms out, palms face down. Turning the neck to look over those right fingertips. So again, if that knee's coming a little bit too far forward, just wiggle those toes forward. And have that right knee tracking closer to the pinky side edge of your foot. Keep pressing down through the right heel, pressing back through the outer left foot. Try to spin this outer right thigh in and under as you press back through that left leg. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Let's stay for 1 more breath here. And exhale. Let's release the arms back down to the hips. Straighten that front leg. And just heel toe your feet back into hips width distance. And you can shake them out a little bit. All right, let's come back to the top of your mat. This time bring the big toes to touch, heels slightly separated, arms down to the sides, palms face forward. Keep drawing the tailbone down, lifting the hips up. We'll come into our chair pose. So we'll bend the knees, send the hips back, arms come forward. We'll be in our chair pose for a couple breaths here. Make sure you gaze down and can see your toes. If not, shift the hips back a little bit farther. Make sure you still have a nice neutral spine, so we're not arching, we're not rounding in our spine here. Keep rolling the pinky side edges of those arms together, and still soften the shoulders away from the ears. Staying for 1 more breath. Now stay in your chair pose. Release your hands to the center of your chest. We'll add a twist here. So we inhale as we lengthen, and exhale, twist to your right. You have the option to stay here if you want. Release the outside edge of that left elbow to the outside of the right knee. Either way, wherever you are, try to draw that left hip back. Shift more weight into the heels. Maybe your gaze turns to look up at the ceiling. Stay for 1 more breath. Now exhale, release back into your chair pose with your hands at your center. Doing the other side now, so we'll inhale as we lengthen. Exhale, twist to your left. Again, you have the option to stay up here or releasing the outside edge of that right elbow to that left knee. Keep firming both outer hips in. That'll really give you the stability here. Drawing that right hip back. Maybe your gaze turns to look up towards the ceiling. 1 more breath. Now inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, we'll forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, hands to the shins, nice flat back. And exhale, forward fold. So place your palms down, step your right foot back, step your left foot back. Knees down, shift forward, bend the elbows back, lower all the way down as one piece. Uncurl the back toes, tops of the feet to the mat. And inhale as you lift your head up, chest up into your baby cobra. Send your heart forward as you draw your tailbone and your feet back towards the back edge of your mat. Stay for another half breath here. And exhale, gently release. Curl the toes under. Either press yourself directly up into your down dog or come through your plank pose with your knees down. In your down dog, we'll lift the right leg up and back, flexing the toes just like we had in our tabletop, lifting that leg so the knees and the toes face down. And now bend the right knee in towards your chest, shift the torso forward, shoulders over wrists, draw that right foot up to the top of the mat. From here, let's release the left arm underneath the left shoulder. And on your inhale, raise the right arm up to the sky, twisting from the navel up. If you need to, you can drop that left knee down. Otherwise, keep it up. But keep firming both legs in towards the midline. As again, you turn the pinky side edge towards the front of the mat, palm faces forward. Maybe your gaze turns to look up at those fingertips. One more breath. And exhale, release that right arm down. Now stay here in your high lunge, and we'll come back into our warrior two. So if your knee was down, curl those toes under, lift that left knee back up. And this time, drop the left heel down. We're looking for heel to arch alignment, so you may need to wiggle that right foot to the center of your mat. Release the right arm to the inside, left arm up to the sky. Press down through your feet. Inhale as you lift up into your warrior two. So in your warrior two with your right leg forward and bent. I'll just switch so you can see me a little better here. Now in our warrior two, keep firm this outer right hip in and under, pressing this left leg back. Come into our side angle pose. So we'll send the right arm forward as far as we can. We can't go any further. Release that right arm down. Left arm can come down, forward, and up overhead. Options here. If you'd like, you can release the right arm overhead so the bicep is next to the ear, creating a nice long line from the back edge of that left foot through the left fingertips. Keep pressing down through the right heel. Staying for one more breath. And inhale, lift back up into your warrior two. And exhale, we'll spiral both arms forward and down, either side of that right foot. Pop up on that back heel. Send the right foot to meet the back foot. We'll drop the knees down, shift forward, bend the elbows, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Inhale, lift up into your cobra. If you want to start straightening your arms, you can come up into your half or full cobra. Either way, keeping the shoulders over the wrists. And exhale, gently release back down, forehead to the mat. Curl the toes under, lift up into your down dog. Come through plank with your knees down first if you need to. In your down dog, we'll switch to the other side. So now we'll lift the left leg up to hip height, flexing that left foot so that the toes and the knee faces down. And now bend the left knee into your chest, shifting the torso forward, shoulders over wrists, and then step the left foot up to the top of the mat. Keeping the right knee off the mat if you can. If not, drop it down to the mat. Right wrist underneath that right shoulder. I should have mentioned before, if you want to place a block underneath this right arm, go for it. Adding a twist, so we'll twist from the navel up, lifting the left arm up to the sky. Turning the pinky side edge towards the front of the mat. Maybe your gaze comes up to look at those fingertips. Keep hugging both legs in towards that midline. Staying for one more breath. And exhale, gently release that left arm down. We'll come into our warrior 2 feet. So release the right heel down. Right toes are slightly forward. You may need to heel toe these left toes so that you have heel to arch alignment. Left arm to the inside edge, right arm up. Press down through the feet. Inhale as you lift up into your warrior 2. Settle in, check your feet real quick. Make sure this left knee is tracking over that left ankle. Keep firm this outer left thigh in and under, pressing back through that right leg. Gazes over those left fingertips. Moving into our side angle. So we'll shift that left arm forward when we can't go any farther forward. Release the left arm to the inside edge of that left thigh. Right arm can spiral down, forward, and up overhead. Again, turning the pinky side edge forward. Really opening, broaden through those collarbones. Now you have the option to send the arm overhead, bicep next to ear. Cut a nice long line from the outer edge of that right foot all the way through those right fingertips. Keep pressing down through that left heel. Maybe your gaze turns to look up underneath the arm. One more breath here in our side angle. Now press down through your feet, lift yourself back up into your warrior two, and then spiral both arms forward and down. Lift up on that back heel. Send that left foot to meet the back foot. This time drop your knees down. We're coming into our tabletop pose here. So take a little detour here in our tabletop. So make sure those knees are directly underneath your hips and the shoulders are over the wrists, just as we started class. Tops of the feet to the ground. Moving into our side plank pose. So starting on the left side, keep your left knee where it is, and then kickstand that left foot out to the side, keeping the top of the foot to the mat. Curl the right toes under, extend and straighten that right leg back, and release the right heel down. As you do that, you'll start to open your chest, bring that right arm to the right hip. Really try to stack your shoulders here. Now you have the option, you can stay here. Next option, if you'd like, you can send the left leg underneath the right leg so that you're balancing now on the outside edge of that left leg. Next option, if you'd like, wherever you are, bring the right arm up to the sky. Whatever option you are, try to lift those hips up, stacking the shoulders. One more breath here in your side angle. And exhale, gently release back down into your tabletop. We'll switch to the other side. Hi, Coney. All right, kickstand out the right foot. Curl the left toes under. Extend and straighten that left leg back, releasing the left heel down. And now start to open up, placing your hand to that left hip to start. Now you can stay here if you'd like, or if you want to send the right leg underneath the left, come to the outer edge of that right foot that you're now balancing on. Really stacking the shoulders, opening the chest. Last option, raise the left arm to the sky, turning the pinky side edge forward. Stay for one more breath here. And gently come down the way you came in, nice and slow, coming back into your tabletop. From your tabletop, just send your hips back towards your heels, lifting your torso back up. We'll work on our wrists again. So just choose whatever seat that you prefer. Tops of the feet to the ground, toes curled under, or a cross-legged seat. Now, just some more wrist rotations. Whatever way you were clasping your fingers in the beginning of class, let's switch that. So have the opposite finger on top this time. Bring the wrists together, elbows together, and just start making your circles, or your figure eights, I should say. Is this how it's done, Coney? You hear? Supervise? Just be gentle. You can kind of go as slow or as fast as you'd like. And then pause and switch directions in your rotations. And begin to slow. Let's separate those fingers. And now bring the backs of your hands to the mat with the fingers facing back. So the wrists are about even with the knees. So you can do this even with your legs are crossed, your arms just may need to be a little wider. And now from here, we'll gently shift forward and back, trying to keep the entire back of the hand on the mat. So just shift slowly forward and back. Should feel a nice stretch in the back and the top of the wrist here. Really spread those fingers wide. Just a couple more times here. And come back to stillness. Let's raise the torso back up. And we'll come back into our tabletop. From your tabletop, curling the toes under, lifting the hips up and back into your down dog. From the down dog, let's inhale as we gaze forward. Bend the knees, exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat. Bring the big toes to touch, heels separate. Inhale as you lift up halfway, nice long spine. And exhale, forward fold. Lifting back up into chair. Send your hips back, knees bend, arms come forward. Staying just for a breath here. And exhale, straighten the legs. Release the hands to the center of your chest and down to the sides. All right. Now moving into our tree pose, our favorite balancing pose here. So many different options. Separate your feet out to hips width distance. Feet are still nice and parallel. Arms down to the side to start. Keep releasing that tailbone down, drawing those frontal hip points up. And now place your hands on your hips. We'll start on this left leg. So shift a little weight into that left leg. Bend the right knee so the right heel comes off the mat. And open that right leg out to the side. Now you have some options. You can stay here. You can bring the bottom of that right foot into touch with the toe staying on the mat. You can bring the toes up off the mat, staying below the knee. Or the last option, bring the bottom of that right foot into that left thigh. Wherever you are, keep firming this outer left hip in. It's easy to sink out. See if you can firm that in. It's really crucial here. Pressing down through that bottom foot, especially the heel, and try to release the tailbone down, drawing these frontal hip points up. Whew. If you fall out, don't worry. You can always come right back into it. But let's add the arms. So first option, bring the hands to the center of your chest. Second option, raise those arms up to the sky. And now, last option, if you'd like, this is easy for you. If you just want a little more of a challenge, try to close one eye. See how that does for you. Close your left eye, then maybe close your right eye, and then maybe close both eyes. Use the rest of your surroundings and your senses to try and keep you balanced. If you fall out of it, don't worry, come back into it. Just try it. Don't worry. No one can see you. You can only see me. All right, just take one more breath. Release the arms down gently, feet down, and just shake it out a little. So we'll try that on the other side. It's fun to just try and challenge yourself, maybe especially in postures that you may be more comfortable with. So feet are nice and hips width distance. Place your hands to the hips. We'll shift weight into the right leg this time. Bend the left knee. Left heel comes off the mat. Now open the left knee out to the side. Stay here or bring the heel in to touch that shin. You can bring the toes up off the mat, or you can skip the knee and bring the bottom of that left foot into that right thigh. Really firm this outer right hip in as you press down through that right heel. And now we'll add the different arm variations. So bring the hands to the center of the chest. Or you can grow your branches, arms up overhead, softening the shoulders down, releasing the tailbone down towards the heels. All right, now we have the options with our eyes. So start by closing one eye, maybe close the other, switching back and forth. This might be easy for you. Now try both eyes. See how that works. See how far you can stay up. If you fall out, don't worry, come back into it. Couple more breaths here just to challenge yourself. Whew. Let's stay for one more breath. And open those eyes back out. Release the hands down through center and legs down. Let's shake it out. All right. One more series to go with one more fun balancing pose. Make sure if you have your blocks, place them on the edges of your mat. If you just have one, just start with one at the top of your mat. And if you don't have any blocks, don't worry about it. So come back to the top of your mat. Big toes touch, heels slightly separate. Come into chair pose just for a moment here. Let's start by releasing your hands down, palms face forward, soften the tailbone down. So let's inhale as we bend the knees, send the hips back, arms come forward into our chair pose. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, nice long spine. Exhale, forward fold, bend the knees, plant your palms, step your right foot back, step your left foot back. Knees down, shift forward, bend the elbows back, lower all the way to the mat. Uncurl the back toes. Inhale, lift up into your cobra pose. Staying low, coming up halfway with your elbows bent, or maybe you start to straighten your arms. Either way, releasing the tailbone towards the heels. And exhale, gently release the forehead back down. Curl the toes under. Meet us up in down dog. Coming through your knees down plank first if you need to. All right, let's start with the left side. So let's lift the left leg up, hip height, flexing the left toes so the knee and the toes face down. Bend the left knee in towards your chest. Shift forward, elbows over wrists, and send that left foot to the top of the mat. Coming back down into our warrior 2 feet. So release the right heel down, right toe slightly forward. You may need to wiggle this left foot over slightly so you have heel to arch alignment. Left arm to the inside, right arm to the sky. Press down through your feet. Inhale, lift up into your warrior 2. Settle into your warrior 2, shoulder square with the long edge side of your mat. Really firm and roll this outer left thigh in and under, pressing back through that right leg. All right, we'll move through our side angle and then our balancing pose half moon. So shift the left arm forward, release the left arm to the inside edge, release the right arm down, forward, and up overhead. Now release the right arm to the hip, to your right hip. Walk that back foot in, maybe a foot. Now, take a look at your block. If you have your block, you release your left hand to the block. Block is slightly to the outside pinky side edge of the foot. If you don't have a block, release those fingertips down to the mat. Gently start to shift forward as you press up off the right leg, lifting the right leg up into the sky. Keeping those fingertips on the mat or the block. Really start to open the chest, stacking the shoulders as you lift that right leg up. Keep flexing the right foot. Really firm that outer left hip in, pressing back through the right heel. Staying for 2 more breaths. If you fall out, don't worry, get back into it. Right, Coney, we got this. 1 more breath. And exhale, rebend that front knee, release that right foot back down, and lift yourself back up into your warrior 2 pose here. We'll reverse the warrior, drop the right arm down, left palm up to the sky, lift the left arm up, and exhale, we'll spiral forward and down, releasing both arms down. Come up on the back heel. Send the left foot to meet the back foot. Knees down, shift forward, bend the elbows lower all the way to the mat. Tops of the feet to the mat. Inhale, lift up into your baby cobra, half cobra, or full cobra. And exhale, gently release. Curl the toes under. Let's lift the hips up and back into our downward facing dog. And we'll move to the other side. So I realized that I said place the block at the back, but we'll only use the block at the front of the mat. All right, so let's lift the right leg up and back, flexing the right foot, pressing the right heel back. And now exhale as you bend the knee in towards your chest, shift the torso forward, shoulders over wrists, right foot to the top of the mat. So now from here, we'll drop the left heel down. Left toes are slightly forward. Maybe you wiggle your right foot in so you have heel to arch alignment. Right arm to the inside edge, press down through your feet, and lift up into your warrior 2. Check in, settle in, make sure this knee is tracking over that right ankle, firming this outer right hip in. Shoulders are softened away from the ears, turning your neck to look over those right fingertips. All right, you know where we're going. So we'll start by shifting forward, releasing the right arm down into our side angle. Left arm comes down, forward and up overhead. Palm faces forward. Now release that left hand to the left hip. Walk that back foot in about half a foot to a foot. Now if you have your block, place your fingertips or place your hands on your block. Have that block to the outside edge, that pinky side edge. If you just have your fingertips, place them down and start to shift your weight forward as you lift that left leg up off the mat. Flexing the left toes, making sure those toes face the long edge side of your mat. Really start to open up the chest. Try to stack those shoulders. Firm that outer right hip in, just like in our tree pose, to give us stability. It's easy to sink into that, so really firm that up. Press down through that right heel. Stay for 2 more breaths. If you fall out, don't worry, just come right back into it. 1 more breath here. Now rebend that front knee. Gently let the left foot fall down and lift yourself back up into your warrior two. Left palm down, right palm up to the ceiling. Raise the right arm up to the sky in your reverse. Exhale, spiral both arms forward and down. Palms down, come up on that back heel. Let's send the right foot to meet the back foot. Drop the knees to the mat. Uncurl tops of the feet to the mat. Send our hips back towards your heels. Rest in your child's pose. Make it your child's pose. Knees can be together or wider, whatever works for you. We'll just be here for a couple breaths. Just one more breath. All right, let's lift our hips up off our heels. Come to a seat with our legs out in front of us. Now our hips should be a little loose, a little more open. So we'll try this double pigeon pose, sometimes called a fire log pose. So it looks very similar to sitting cross-legged, but what we'll actually be doing is placing one shin on top of the other. So let's start with the right shin in front. So we'll bend the right knee. Try to have your right shin nice and parallel. The right foot should be flexed. Have your blocks nearby in case you want to use them. Sometimes they can come in handy for this pose. Yes, Coney is showing right where we need to be. Exactly. So then you'll take your left leg and you'll place the outer side of that left ankle on top of the right knee. So you may be right here with this knee way up. That's just typically where I start. If you'd like, you can use your hands to press down and maybe you start to just press send your hips back just slightly. But either way, it doesn't matter how far up this knee is. Just have the knee on top of the ankle and the ankle on top of the knee here. So we have right leg forward to start. This is where if you have your blocks, you can place it underneath that knee. Maybe you're a little bit lower if you're a little bit more open here. By the way, make sure you're comfortable and you're actively flexing both feet. That'll help keep everything in alignment here. Now, as far as your hands, you can bring them into the center of your chest. Staying right here if this is enough for you. Otherwise, if you want to move on, you can add a forward fold. So you'll inhale as you lengthen, and you'll exhale, keeping a nice long spine, start to forward fold. Sometimes when I do this pose and I start to forward fold, the gap starts to get a little bit smaller between my legs. So try it out, see what works for you. Try not to round your backs out, keeping your spine nice and long. And keep flexing both feet. Let's stay for 2 more breaths. One more breath here. And now lift yourself back up. Release your hands down, release your block off to the side. Remember which leg is on the bottom. We'll be switching to the other side. So you can just gently switch it up. So I have my right leg down first. Now I'm going to send my left leg down to start. Try to have it nice and parallel to start. And then you'll place the outside edge of this right ankle on top of that left knee. Again, if you need a block underneath that left knee also, go for it. If you don't have your block, a pillow or anything, rolling up your mat can give you a little bit of elevation as well. So I'm just going to duplicate what I have on the first side on this side as well. So again, make sure you're flexing both feet. It helps to keep your ankle nice and safe here. And now we'll bring the hands into the center of your chest. Inhale to lengthen. You can stay here or exhale, start to hinge forward into your forward fold, keeping a nice long spine. Stay here for 3 breaths. One more nice deep breath. And exhale as you gently lift yourself back up. This pose can look so innocent, but it can be so challenging. I know it definitely is for me. So let's release that right leg off. Send both legs in front of you. Let's have our knees bent. You can place the props off to the side. And we'll gently roll onto our spines. You can either hold onto your shins or your thighs, or if you want one last challenge, arms are in front as you gently roll down. Once you come onto your back, let's hug both knees in towards your chest. And then let the knees fall off to the left side, keeping the knees and the feet together. With those knees falling off to the side, try to at least have the knees up at hip height or higher. Opening both arms up to a T or a field goal post, shoulder height, with the palms facing up. Keep that right shoulder rooted on the mat. You can turn your neck to look over those right fingertips. Let's stay for 3 deep breaths here. One more deep breath. Now lift the knees back up to center. Recenter your hips. And then let the knees fall off to the right side this time. Keeping those knees stacked at least up at hip height. Arms or shoulder height out to a T or a field goal post with the palms facing up. Keep the left shoulder rooted and turn your neck to look over those left fingertips if you'd like. Full spinal twist here. Staying for 3 breaths. One more deep breath. And exhale as you bring those knees back up to center. Release the feet back down. Let's hug the knees into the chest. Come into a happy baby pose. So release the knees out wide and place or begin to straighten the legs slightly so the bottoms of the feet face up towards the ceiling. And now the different options with your arms. They can grab the outsides of your thighs, outsides of your calves, or if your arms are going to grab the outside of your feet, have your arms come to the inside of your knees. Now try to keep your low back on the ground, whatever option you're choosing. You can stay right here, or if you'd like, you can start to rock from side to side. The idea here is to draw those feet down so the knees come closer to the mat. One more breath here. And come back to center. Hug the knees back in center, in towards the chest. Let's lift the shoulders and the back of the head off the mat. Come into a nice little egg shape. Give one last squeeze here. So squeeze everything in. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And exhale, release. Extending the legs forward. Extend the arms overhead. Point the toes. Extend the fingers away from the body. And one last full body stretch here. So stretch, stretch, stretch. And exhale, we'll release. Send the arms down to the sides, palms face up. Let the knees and the feet fall out wide. Settle into our final pose of practice here, our Shavasana pose, which is a time to release. Now's the time to trust in your practice. Know that the time you spent today was exactly what you needed. Releasing any judgment or any attachment over anything that you did. And just being grateful for showing up today on your mat, doing something for you. You can let your eyes soften or your gaze close as you just let your body melt into your mat here. Finally, releasing any last bit of control you have over your breath.
Just be. And begin to bring some awareness back into your body. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes, rotate your wrists and your ankles, switch directions in those rotations, and come back to stillness for one last breath on your back. And now you can bend your knees as you gently roll over to one side of your body. Letting your top arm rest on your bottom, top knee rest on your bottom. Stay for a breath here on your side. Now, keeping your eyes softened or your gaze closed, use your top arm to press yourself up to a comfortable cross-legged seated position to complete your practice today. In your comfortable seat, you can place your palms on top of your knees, palms can face up, or bring your hands into the center of your chest. Let's all take a nice deep inhale in together. Through the mouth, exhale. Thank you all for joining me in practice today. The light and love in me acknowledges and honors the light and love in each one of you. Thank you. Peace. All right. Thank you all so much for joining me in practice today. Really had a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying the balance focus poses this week. That can be fun to fall out of, that can be fun to stay in. So I really appreciate you all joining me through this journey this week. If you ever have any questions, you can leave them in the chat, leave them in comments in the video description, and more of my contact info is in the description. Ellen, thank you again for joining. Always great to see your name pop up. Appreciate you coming to class. Next class will be Friday at 7 p.m. That will be level 2. So we've got a couple other fun poses that we'll be working through our balance to wrap up the week. So if you'd like, join me then. If not, next time I will see you in practice. Again, my name is Daniel with Daniel Lee Yoga. See you next time. Thank you so much. Peace.